so I would like to tell people my experience as somebody who's not a politician and who has been behind those closed doors. The next outrageous move that you might want to keep in mind as citizens in the supervisor's power play was disbanding our Parks Department. Why? Because the Parks Commissioners were almost entirely appointed by her predecessor. This was a political move to take away what in her competitive mind was their department, their control, their authority. What was left? Crime-filled graffitied parks this spring with foot-long grass filled with garbage, no swings, and an unpleasant atmosphere. Other members of this board and other citizens experienced that and were disgusted by it. As a citizen, I have to say, this spiteful political move did not take away a political opponent's area. This took away our residents' parks and quality of life. Fortunately, the commissioners have been mature and inventive enough to carry on despite this power play and seek private funding and volunteers. Thank you to them. The consolidation of township maintenance was another blunder in the control grab of the supervisor, taking specialized skilled workers out of the departments and away from the equipment they had worked on for years, and creating a massive confusion which still exists in many places today, where buildings don't have toilet paper, where trades professionals with years of training who typically maintain pipes, electric, or roofing for our township have found themselves cutting grass and picking up garbage while serious maintenance doesn't get done. But it's brought more control to our supervisor's office, so she likes it. Another judgment error has been stopping the downtown improvement projects started under the previous administration, causing businesses to leave our township, to leave empty storefronts, and not want to come here to do business because of visual blight issues and lack of parking. And recently, the supervisor has been discussing accepting proposed changes to development of land in one of the nicest, safest single-family neighborhoods of our township that would bring now high-density, transient lifestyle apartments, bringing with them issues of crime and blight where previously only single-family and senior homes were approved to go. As a citizen, I don't like these changes. They were made for the wrong reasons, and they hurt us, the residents of Redford Township. As a citizen and not as a board member who's supposed to pretend that everything is nice up here because it's not, I have some suggestions to solve our township problems. One, stop sticking it to people that you perceive as political opponents, most especially law enforcement. Stop punishing them for supporting your opponent in the election. You are jeopardizing our safety out of petty, selfish motives. Hire cops, please, so that we have a safe level of employment in the department, and let them keep the things they need to do their job, such as cars, uniform and gun training allowance, and give them back the old overtime policy so that you stop bleeding the township resources and overstraining our courts. If you want to save money, the place to start is with your own office and the perks you give yourself. For example, stop wasting taxpayer dollars and township resources on your own pleasure and convenience for lavish conference attendance. Do not continue your unethical use of township vehicles to attend expensive political networking conferences. Start keeping your election promises of openness and accountability, and do all your business, including the ugly stuff, openly and honestly in the public eye at your regular meetings instead of running up taxpayer tab to hide things you don't want these people to see in extra special and closed meetings. The next place is to look at our perks, the perks of the rest of the board members. How many conferences do we really need to attend? And how in the world can anyone here argue that full-time police officers in our township who are risking their lives on our behalf should have to pay an 8% or more of their health care premium cost when some of the part-time employees up here pay nothing for family health care benefits that cost our township an average of $10,000 to $15,000 additional dollars on top of the salary? I don't take those benefits because when I was offered them, it felt morally wrong for me. I pay in for them like most of you do through my regular day job. But some people up here take them. These are the things that are fluff on the top. They should be cut before services to you. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like the folks in the fire and the police department do a heck of a lot more for our township than the people at this table, myself included. In conclusion, I must say that I am disgusted and disappointed with this administration and its choices. When my term started, I knew it would be challenging to serve on this board because I had seen so many hostile, awful, inappropriate things said and done during the election time and at the outset of the term. It was disappointing that a more positive, collaborative board wasn't chosen, especially because such a tiny fraction of our voters in this township actually even bothered to weigh in on the election. However, I was raised to understand that we must do our duty even if it's difficult or unpleasant. And despite the fact that it has been both in many ways, I stuck with the job that you gave me because I love this township and my friends and neighbors here, and I thought I could make a difference and it might be worth the difficult part. However, a year in office has caused me to see that I cannot make a difference in this administration. Make no mistakes about it, folks. What you have elected in a supervisor is not just a bully, it's a dictator. Other board members may talk tough publicly about being independent, but when it comes down to the votes, now far too often occurring behind closed doors after threats in extra meetings not attended by cameras or you citizens, board members vote in response to intimidation to protect the careers and personal lives. 1 or 2 citizen votes out of 7 make no difference. As a citizen, I'm disgusted and embarrassed by the choices made by this supervisor and too often ratified by this board, and I no longer want any part of them. After almost a year in office, I have seen that my efforts do not make a difference in stopping this disaster, because as the supervisor frequently says in those closed meetings, her will must be followed by this board. That is why I am resigning as a member of the township board tonight. My energy should be devoted to the areas of my life where I am needed and can make a positive difference. As a part, I ask of you, my fellow citizens, to look carefully at the folks up here and ask yourself some important questions. Do these folks represent the best in you, yourself, as to ethics, hopes, education, intelligence, care, and advocacy for you and the rest of this community? If not, then you have some things that you can and should do to ensure better leadership for this township. First, encourage qualified people in your neighborhoods, your churches, to run for office. Second, question bad decisions made by your leaders. Hold them accountable, not for self-serving sound bites and camera moments, but for their actual votes and decisions and behavior. Third, question the ugly political climate that has mushroomed in this township in a way that gives it a bad reputation for miles outside of Redford, and seek ways to change it so that decent people aren't afraid to run for office and help you in this township. If it doesn't change, eventually only the lowest common denominator of scrappers will be left. Fourth, expect more from your leaders than bullying and destructive politics, and hold them accountable. And finally, please use your right to vote for good people. People have died in our country for generations to give you that right. If all of you had voted, we might have a drastically different government right now in Redford Township.